Hey, what's up, guys? We're back. I'm doing another review. Today, we're doing a review on The Batman by Matt Reeves. It comes out, today. I got to see it with my family and friends at 3 o'clock. And first, I'll give you my general thoughts. We'll talk about the film a little bit more in depth, go into spoiler territories and stuff like that. We'll talk about where the future of the potential franchise is going, and, we'll knock that out one by one. So, my general thoughts on the film: it was an amazing film. It's a perfect Batman film. If you've read the comics, if you know where this character comes from and what his stories are basically, the foundations of them are, you will love this movie. It's 100% a detective film. It's kind of like Seven or, the Zodiac Killer and movies like that. It's more of a detective film that just happens to star someone who dresses up as a bat. It might not be for everyone, I guess, but it definitely was for me. The movie, just the cinematography, the way it was directed, the characters, the way Gotham as a city feels like a character, unto itself, I thought was amazing. Do I have any complaints? I have minor nitpicks here and there, just random things that I, again, nitpick. And people tend to nitpick when you are that close to perfection when it comes to, anything, any product. So I don't even want to, bother to touch on them right now. But yeah, I thought the movie was amazing. Just to talk about some of the inspirations that the movie took from, that Matt Reeves, the director, took from, is Batman Zero Year, The Long Halloween, and Batman Earth One. If you read these comic books, these graphic novels, that's good news. If you haven't read them, I would suggest you to read them. It doesn't have to be before the film. You might get a little bit more out of it if you do, but if you watch the film first, by all means, go to Amazon, Barnes& Noble, your local comic book store, and buy these because they're awesome. I want to start kind of talk about the actors one by one because there was not a single actor in this film that missed. They all hit the mark. They were all amazing. Even some that, when we were told they were cast, might have raised some eyebrows, might have, sucked some teeth and stuff like that. They were amazing. I want to start off, obviously, with the titular character, Robert Pattinson. Everyone was up in arms about him. I kind of personally sat back and said, let me see what he does before, you bash him. Everyone always thinks of him as the Twilight Kid. And if you know anything about movies, you know that he is anything, he's far from just being the Twilight Kid. He is an amazing actor. Directors look for this man to be in their films. So that should say a lot. Robert Pattinson was amazing as Batman. He outstanding. He embodied this character, the rage, the turmoil of this child seeing his parents, be killed in an alley. He embodies that. You see it in any scene that he's in, that this man is an unhappy, miserable person. If you want to kind of see a happy-go-lucky superhero, don't come and see this. If you want to see Batman for who he really is, come see this film. I thought he was great. Even, the times he spends most of the time in the cape and cowl, which I loved. When he's not in it, you could see that he is physically, just uncomfortable, to be there. Like, this man is Batman. His mask is Bruce Wayne. And I think this is the first film where there is no alter ego. It's just Batman. Even when he's walking around as Bruce Wayne, he is not Bruce Wayne. He's a shell of a human being. He's not really there no matter who he interacts with. And I thought Robert Pattinson did an amazing job. I've actually seen interviews with him, kind of promoting the film before it came out today. And he seems to know a lot about the character, which was surprising to me. Because I didn't know how much homework he actually did. Some actors don't. He said some things. He mentioned some writers, some titles, some story arcs, and I was like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. So I feel like an actor that knows more about the character they're playing is able to portray them better, and I think he did that. So Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle, thought she was amazing. Such a great actress. This character goes through a lot of, emotional turmoil, like everybody in this film, and you could see it conveyed in her face so much. Like she is such a good like facial actor. You could see it everything that's going through her mind in just the way that she looks at you in the camera, and I thought that was pretty awesome. And I'm gonna keep going down the line. Then you have, let's say, Paul Dano as the Riddler. He's demented, psycho. I actually wrote down in my notes, he's kind of like a Saw Jigsaw type of person, as opposed to the traditional Riddler that we see, in the comics or in the cartoons and stuff like that. Or like he's very far removed from whatever Jim Carrey was portraying in Batman Forever. Not knocking Jim Carrey, because he did what he was assigned to do in that film, but Paul Dano was super creepy, makes you feel super uncomfortable, gives you tons of anxiety whenever he's on film, or you see like his riddles pop up wherever they are. Super good. Colin Farrell as the Penguin. You didn't know if you didn't know it was Colin Farrell, like if they didn't say it was him playing the Penguin, you wouldn't know it was him. He was completely disappeared in that role. Obviously he had tons of prosthetics on, but you don't hear his voice, you don't see his mannerisms, nothing. This guy was this version of the Penguin, and I thought he was awesome. He's actually getting a HBO series. I'm not sure. I think it's a continuation of what happens in the movie. I don't think it's a prequel. It's going to be pretty interesting given where the character ends up in the film. Then moving on, we have Jeffrey Wright, which he played James Gordon, Commissioner Gordon. And this Gordon is super grizzled, super done with, the shit that takes place in Gotham. I forgot his name, the guy who played James Gordon in the Dark Knight trilogy. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name, but he was awesome, and I love Jeffrey Wright just as much, and he's only been in one iteration so far. I think he was amazing, especially the relationship that Jim has with Batman, and being that kind of middleman between Batman and the police force in Gotham, I thought was great to see. Andy Serkis as Alfred Pennyworth. I thought he was great. He is a lot younger than most of the Alfreds that we see. Obviously, this Batman is not younger than any of the Batmans that we've seen. So, in turn, obviously, Alfred was a little bit younger. And I thought he was awesome. He is basically pulled out of the Batman Earth 1 graphic novel. Exactly. The same backstory, the same mannerisms. You could tell that they took this character from that book, and it was awesome. It worked for this film and for the universe that they're kind of creating with this Batman. John Tuttoro. Some people were a little upset that he was cast, just because they don't take him very serious in a lot of movies that he's in. He was Carmine Falcone Falcone, and he was awesome. Like, this man is not physically intimidating at all, but when he was in a room, when he was speaking, you were, nervous for the other characters in the room. And then there's other, miscellaneous characters here and there that pop up, like mayors, commissioners. Excuse me, my dogs are losing their mind. But everyone in the film I thought was awesome. So moving on to basically comparisons. Everyone's loves to do it, and everyone's going to say, was it better than The Dark Knight? Was it better than this? Was it better than that? To compare them both, I feel like it's unfair, because they're two different films going after two different things. They're not like two Marvel films, or they're not The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. They're not. It's like apples and oranges. They're both fruit at the end of the day, but they're not the same fruits. So you shouldn't compare. You should compare two apples, not an apple and an orange. And I feel like it's unfair. Which one I prefer more? Right now, I'm probably leaning towards The Dark Knight, but that could be just nostalgia and Heath Ledger and all that kind of stuff. I'm probably gonna have to see this movie more than once because I've seen The Dark Knight dozens of times, but this is up there right with The Dark Knight. I feel like this is definitely better than Batman Begins, better than, or not better, but I enjoyed it more than Batman Begins, more than The Dark Knight Rises. And yeah, I thought this movie was up there. It's definitely up there in the top 2, top 3 Batman films of all time. And now to talk about and keep the comparison conversation going, I want to talk about the best Batman, because again, the same way people compare the films, they're gonna compare the people who played Batman. And obviously, there's no right or wrong. Everyone has their favorites. This is what's so awesome about the medium, is that you could like what you like, and that's fine. So opinions are always going to be different. I love Ben Affleck as Batman. That is my favorite Batman. Unequivocally, there's just my favorite Batman, and it's not even close. With anyone else, like second, third, fourth, there's not even close. Ben Affleck is my favorite Batman, and Robert Pattinson's rendition is probably my second favorite. I thought he was awesome. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I thought it was amazing, and I still need to see a little bit more of him, and to kind of see if he might bump Ben Affleck. But right now, Ben Affleck is still the clear winner for me. A lot of people associate the best Batman with the best Batman films, which are obviously the Dark Knight trilogy for most people. So they say, forgot his name, whatever, called Christian Bale. Christian Bale is the best Batman. And I always, disagree. I say he's in the best Batman films, but he was not the best Batman. If you know the character, how they portray it, how they embody that role, I feel like it's always been Ben Affleck. And a lot of people, it's the cool thing to hate on Ben Affleck, but again, Ben Affleck my number 1, Robert Pattinson my number 2, so on and so forth. And not to keep going into this Ben Affleck love fest, I want to start talking about maybe not spoiler, but some specific things that happen in the film, and then some spoilers, and then talking about the ending and the future of the film. So if you have not watched the movie and you care about not being spoiled, please stop watching now, come back later, finish the video, and all that stuff. And I appreciate you being here in the first place. So we're going into spoilers now. So a few things. The Batcave I thought was awesome. That's not really a big spoiler because everyone knows there's a Batcave there, but regardless, the Batcave, you don't see it much, or you don't see it in a wide shot, but when you do see that wide shot, I thought it was awesome. The first fight scene was amazing. It was awesome. Every time you see him fight, you feel the anger that this man has towards crime in general, and I thought that was great. I didn't mention the Saw copycat, like Riddler being like the Saw, who I wonder like if the Court of Owls are going to be involved. I feel like the Court of Owls is something that's going to be brought up just because of the kind of through line that the film had about the corruption down to the core of every single person in Gotham, from the mayor all the way down to like the lowest level police officer and everything in between, judges, lawyers, like everything. And that basically what the Court of Owls was. And I feel like that's probably going to be brought up, especially when the Court of Owls storyline, laid heavily on the Wayne's past and, what they did, while Bruce was a child or before he was born. So I feel like that's something that's going to be brought up. It wasn't said in the movie, but I feel like it's something that's going to be brought up. The chase scene, I thought wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be that you saw in the trailers. I feel like the best part about the chase scene was the beginning of it when you see the reveal of the Batmobile. I thought that was badass. And literally the ending of the chase scene when he ends up getting the Penguin and you kind of see him, jumping through the flames and then walking towards the Penguin's, trashed, demolished car. Those were like the two favorite part. Still favorite car scene or Batmobile scene is in the Batman Begins. I thought it was awesome when you kind of see the reveal of the tumbler. What else? They actually had a Easter egg for Hush. And Hush is a pretty cool villain that came out about like 10, 15 years ago in the Batman mythos, and his name is Thomas Elliot. A big point in the film was that Bruce's father, Thomas Wayne, was running for a mayor, and he was getting blackmailed, and he asked the mafia to kind of threaten one of the reporters, and the reporter's name, I forgot his first name, but his last name was Elliot, and he not confirmed they had a son, but that's the father of Thomas Elliot, who was a childhood friend of Bruce Wayne, who grew up to be a villain who had a grudge against Batman, or not Batman, but actually Bruce Wayne himself. Will he be, the son? Who knows? But the fact that they mentioned his father's name means that he might be in this universe, and he is a super cool, very psychological villain that I think will be cool to see in the future. What else we have here? Falcone, being Catwoman's dad. It was revealed early on. Her mom had died. She was strangled. No one knew who it was. I immediately thought it was Falcone. I thought her own father killed her mother, just because he's always in close proximity since he was there. He has a reason to kill her, being that that's her mom. And you had already seen he had he had scratches in his face, and there was never a reason as to why in the movie that he just had random scars, So I thought that was a thing, and then it came out that it was real that he liked strangling women, and he did indeed kill her mom. So I saw that. Anyway, the hallway fight scene at the very end, or not the end, near the end, I think it's close to the second act, nearing the third, when you kind of see the automatic weapons in the dark hallway, and all you see is the muzzle flashes. They kind of showed that in the trailer. I thought that was awesome. And the Joker reveal. They revealed Joker at the end of the movie. Not even an end credit scene. There are no end credit scenes. But right before the movie ends, about 5 minutes before, they go to Arkham, and you see the Riddler talking to someone, and he's kind of toying with him at first, and then the Riddler kind of sees that he's toying with him, but he's also trying to be his friend, and the person that's talking keeps talking about jokes and clowns and riddles and things like that, and he starts laughing, and that's the reveal of Joker being Riddler's cellmate in Arkham, and he was actually played by Barry Keoghan. He's basically Druid from the Eternals, and it's funny because Druid, or Barry, whatever you want to call him, had gotten drunk one day and posted on social media that he was gonna be playing the Joker in the Matt Reeves Batman universe. He took it down and said it was a mistake. He was just drunk, blah blah blah. But he's our Joker. He's an amazing actor. I'm super excited. I loved him in Eternals. Some people didn't like him because he was kind of douchey. I actually liked him because he was kind of douchey. Now, the future of the franchise, who knows? I'm pretty sure this movie is going to get a sequel just because of the amount of money it's going to make. Money talks. So right now it's tracking to make between 100 and 125 million dollars in its opening weekend, from original estimates of like 80 million. So I'm pretty sure it's going to get a sequel. The future, I believe that they're going to focus more on Batman having a dual identities, Batman and Bruce Wayne, and actually doing good as Bruce Wayne during the day, and being more of a philanthropist like his parents were, as opposed to just being a recluse and only trying to save Gotham through being Batman. There were some points in the movie where those things were being hinted at, and I think by the end of the movie, he realizes he can do more if he plays, both sides. Also, now that the Joker's been revealed, I feel like either he's going to be the main bad in the second movie or the main bad in the third. Matt Reeves has discussed that he wants to adapt Mr. Freeze, but not anything like the Arnold Schwarzenegger version, but more so from the animated series that Bruce Timm had written and directed. I think the episode is called A Cold Heart. And that was actually when they revamped the character from the comic books, because in the comic books, Mr. Freeze was a joke, and then they turned him into a more serious kind of sad character because of how he became Mr. Freeze. So he's interested in doing that. So we might get Mr. Freeze in the second movie. We might get the Joker in the second movie. Honestly, I think that right now we'll get Mr. Freeze in the second, and then maybe hints of the Joker. And then in the third film, you might get the Joker and the Riddler again, since he's still alive, because there is a very popular comic book run from the Batman that's called A War of Jokes and Riddles, where the Joker and the Riddler are kind of working together, and then they kind of have a disagreement, become enemies, and they kind of have a war with each other, and Gotham is ground zero, and then Batman has to kind of figure out how to save Gotham and stop both of them from destroying the city. So that's my take on the future of the franchise. Again, my general thoughts on the film. Thought it was awesome. Thought it's up there with The Dark Knight, and it's a visceral crime noir, very dark and dreary, and it makes sense though. Everything makes sense. Nothing was just done for any random reason. Everything makes sense in that 2-hour and 45-minute film. It was amazing, and I think you guys should go watch it. If you guys like my channel, I'd appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that. I appreciate the interactions. Drop any comments down on what you want me to review, talk about next, and I'll see you guys pretty soon. March is going to be a really popular month. We got a bunch of stuff coming out. I think at the end of the month we have Moon Knight. Then eventually we'll go into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and a bunch of other stuff. So look forward to those videos. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.